Caitlin Clark makes her debut appearance on Netflix with David Letterman on his show.
Caitlin Clark recently made her Netflix debut on Letterman's show. And wow, this is a huge episode. The anticipation was high, especially after Caitlin and David Letterman were seen together at the famous Long's Bakery in Indiana. And let's just say it did not let us down.
What are we doing? I'll just take a Bloody Mary. That's a joke. We're just having fun. Okay, is everybody ready? We're buying everything, okay? Oh, my gosh. Get your order.
Whatever you want, it's on him.
Yeah, I got TV money.
One of everything.
On the program, in addition to being the well-known basketball star, Caitlin was also frank, humorous, and very grounded. She told anecdotes that extended well beyond the court.
I gotta say, I don't think Caitlin Clark gets enough credit for her humor because this episode was riddled with it. And I think it's safe to say that Caitlin Clark has had quite a busy offseason. I mean, she hung out with Taylor Swift, she was on Eli Manning's podcast, she was on the Kelsey Brothers podcast, New Heights, but Netflix is...
In one incredible moment, she casually disclosed that she had once scored 22 points in just 2 minutes during a scrimmage against a men's basketball team. Yes, she had scored 22 points in 120 seconds, and there were several guys attempting to stop her.
And this was probably the most viral clip of them all. Caitlin Clark talking about how she scored 22 points in 2 minutes against a men's practice.
And this is the video of them discussing it. It's a really unique moment.
Speaking of videoing practices, there's one iconic scrimmage.
There is.
Yeah.
But nobody knows if it actually happened because
it happened.
Saw it.
No, you know what happened.
So we have a practice team that's just all guys. They have to be students at the university. They basically just volunteer their time, and I think we were down 15. So we make a couple threes. We cut it to 10, maybe. I don't even know.
When you say we make a couple of threes, was it you or was everybody making threes?
It was me, but the points went to the Iowa Hawkeyes. So I think I had 22 points in 2 minutes was the moral of the story.
I'm sorry.
22.
And this is the video of them discussing it. It's a really unique moment.
And they were jumping out of their chairs, going crazy. Usually I never react when something I hit a big shot, or I do, but never in a shocked way. After my fifth three in a row in a minute, I was oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it.
Clark talked candidly in her interview with David Letterman about her efforts to raise her three-point shooting ability.
It goes into the three-point line story about how she spray painted a three-point line because she wanted to get good at those logo bombs. And her dad tore out part of her driveway and they created a three-point line. She mentions how she originally wanted it in her backyard, but that was a no-go.
She says, that's correct. Can you imagine that kind of dedication? Her father literally tore up a portion of his driveway and spray painted a three-point line on it so his daughter could pursue a goal. It wasn't just about basketball. It was the beginning of something remarkable.
Pretty humbled by the gesture, and she basically was saying she never expected to get where she was. She never expected to see people wearing her jersey, and she actually exceeded all her own expectations.
That driveway isn't just a charming anecdote. It's where Clark's quest really started. She practiced shooting on that makeshift court for hours on end until her arms grew weak and developed the muscle memory that would eventually render defenders defenseless. What's remarkable is how modestly Clark told this on Letterman's show, almost as though she is unaware of how remarkable her genesis story is. Most children must adjust to whatever resources are available, and Clark's family modified their house to foster her special gift.
Letterman has actually been a fan of Caitlin since her Iowa days. They go over her breakout game against Michigan, where she drills 4 three-pointers in 6 minutes. She does get 30 points, but they lost the game.
Then there was that Michigan game, when everything changed. Clark didn't just play well. She went into what athletes refer to as the zone, a rare mental state where everything slows down and the basket appears enormous. In just 6 minutes, she made 4 three-pointers. Not just any threes, either, that had the defenders shaking their heads. Letterman talked about.
In final 6 minutes, you hit 4 three-pointers, scored 21 points, pulled the Hawkeyes within 5 with
still
one.
Lost.
Yeah. Michigan won, but Iowa was euphoric. People became aware of, oh my God, it's Caitlin Elizabeth Clark.
Imagine returning home from a game to see yourself on SportsCenter and realizing that your life would never be the same. That's what Clark called her personal, oh my gosh moment when she realized something remarkable might be occurring.
In final 6 minutes, you hit 4 3-pointers, scored 21 points, pulled the Hawkeyes within 5 with
still
one.
lost.
Yeah. Michigan won, but Iowa was euphoric. People became aware of, oh my God, it's Caitlin Elizabeth Clark. What are we going to do?
Yeah, I remember we obviously didn't have everybody active that game, but Coach Bluter wasn't even that mad that we didn't win. She was staring at the TV oh my gosh. Everybody was just kind of in awe. Even I was wow, we're on SportsCenter.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's like seeing Santa on your roof.
I know, it's wow. I made SportsCenter top 10. I would stay up as a kid and watch that. So I feel that was definitely kind of the oh my God.
You can see why Ball State University turned out in full force when Clark appeared on Letterman's show. The standing ovation she received wasn't just courteous applause. It was a thunderous recognition of her greatness. This wasn't just any talk show guest. This was a cultural phenomenon entering their auditorium, and Clark's response, which was one of genuine surprise and humility, was that she never expected to reach where she was. This is what makes her story so powerful, the contrast between her earth-shattering talent and her grounded personality. Although Clark's talent catapulted her to fame, it's the difficulties she faces that really show her essence.
At times, they touched on some more serious topics, like the physicality in the league and whether or not she was being targeted by other players, which she responds that no, she was not being targeted by other players.
And occasionally they discussed more serious subjects like the brutality of the league and whether or not she was being singled out by other players. When Letterman asked her directly if WNBA veterans were pursuing her, she said that she wasn't being singled out by other players. Instead of playing the victim or adding to the drama, Clark used 4 words to completely change the course of events. What does targeted mean? This straightforward inquiry showed her extraordinary composure in the face of a loaded question that would have caused a significant amount of controversy.
That this is a heavily debated topic. That also does depend on what your meaning of targeted is, because if you are saying, did people have their eye on her because she was this crazy rookie phenom that entered the WNBA that everybody wanted to make sure didn't make them look like a chump or whatever, but some people, believe that she was targeted in a nefarious manner, to which her response to that was that the WNBA does level up. When you go from college to the WNBA, the women in the WNBA have had years to work on their...
Clark's journey from college star to WNBA rookie hasn't been easy. Veterans aren't showing kindness to the most anticipated rookie in league history, but instead of griping about being treated poorly, Clark's response to Letterman demonstrated her championship mentality. She rejected the idea that she was being singled out unfairly and instead acknowledged the inherent competitiveness of professional sports.
I did mention how in the offseason, that was what she was focusing on, getting bigger to go up against these more experienced, more yoked.
How an athlete responds to hardship reveals a lot about them, and Clark's response was powerful. She accepted that being physically strong is a necessary component of playing at the highest level. These women have years of experience and lack swagger. Clark clarified how to respect the Warriors without presenting herself as a victim of unjust treatment. Clark turned what may have been a grievance into a learning experience. Rather of focusing on the physicality, she talked about her goals to strengthen herself in the gym during the off-season. When faced with a problem, her natural reaction is to ask, "How can I get better?" rather than place the blame elsewhere. Letterman's bowling segment exposed yet another side of Clark's fierce rivalry.
Come on, you mother.
I was better.
I sense that you were reluctant to do that.
You're my opponent.
When Letterman reached out to give Clark a high five, Clark paused and said, "I'm your competitor," rejecting the friendly gesture like a chess player who never unwinds, even when playing informal games. In order to survive the pressure cooker of professional basketball, where every move she makes is scrutinized by millions of people, Clark instills her competitive attitude in everything she does.
And Her competitive spirit kind of shined as she was super reluctant to give David Letterman a high five after a pretty solid roll.
Am I up?
This intense spirit of competition has been Clark's greatest asset and, at times, her biggest obstacle. In the interview, she talked about how coach Lisa Bledsoe had to assist her control her emotions on the court. Clark said that when she gets frustrated, she occasionally needs to take a rare break from an athlete whose public image usually seems untouchable.
That was addressing the fine line that Bluder would let Caitlin Clark get emotional, but also rein it back in to be healthy for the team as a leader. But on a lighter note, she did say that Caitlin...
Did you know that the finest hugs come from Clark? Bluder shared a heartwarming realization that humanizes the basketball phenomenon by demonstrating how her sincere warmth and intensity are balanced.
Say about Caitlin that I don't know.
She gives the best hugs you've ever had. She's a great hugger. I mean, she goes all in, puts her head on your shoulder.
See, I spent 2 days with her and was not hugged.
You weren't hugged. You missed out on a Caitlin hug. The best.
What does that say about?
What makes Clark's WNBA journey so captivating is seeing her handle these hardships with poise. The attention she receives is unheard of for a rookie, and every error is magnified. But Clark views these setbacks not as unfair burdens, but as necessary components of her hero's journey. She is growing, learning, and using every challenge as fuel. This mindset explains why, when presented with the ideal opportunity to play the victim card on national television, she decided to refocus the conversation toward respect and growth instead.
One of the funnier moments was when Letterman's wife had requested a question for Caitlin Clark, asking what she studied in college and if it has helped her in her professional career. Clark responded kind of tongue-in-cheek and saying marketing, and obviously it's worked out.
In a time when female athletes have historically found it difficult to capitalize on their skills, Clark told Letterman's wife that she majored in marketing. The audience laughed, but no one was laughing at her bank account. Heroes require more than just talent to change a sport. They also need perfect timing and business savvy. Guys, this is strategic genius from someone who knew the business of sports before she even set foot in a WNBA arena. Clark developed a multi-million-dollar empire before her professional career even started.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, as she raked in a $3.1 million NIL in college. I don't even know how much her brand endorsement deals are worth.
Caitlin Clark's ascent coincided perfectly with the NCAA's nil rule change, and she took advantage of the opportunity to earn $3 million in college, more than many WNBA veterans. She developed a brand as sharp as her shot, landing deals with Nike Wilson, Gatorade, State Farm Buick, and even starting her own cereal Caitlin's Crunch Time. This was clever marketing from someone who studied it and made her moment count. Consider all the appearances Clark has been making with Taylor Swift, which has increased her influence to Swift's enormous audience. Her appearances on the Kelsey podcast introduced her to NFL fans who might not have previously watched women's basketball. Clark is systematically establishing connections with new audiences that go much beyond conventional basketball fans.
You can look back on articles now of, in 2021, 2022, people making the point that Caitlin Clark is going to be the face of women's basketball, that Caitlin Clark might be the player to launch women's basketball in the stratosphere. People have been saying that as early as her freshman year. Even when it was all about Paige this, Paige that, there were people still talking about Caitlin Clark back then. And it is funny seeing all this stuff now, seeing the...
While other athletes were studying general education, Clark was learning the concepts of market positioning, brand development, and audience engagement, and applying them to herself in real time. Long's bakery segment in Indiana was pure genius. It highlighted her Midwestern roots and relatable personality, while also demonstrating her connection to the local community. Clark also understands something fundamental about modern marketing.
And it is still funny seeing the anti-Caitlin Clark people still saying that Caitlin Clark, none of her hype is organic.
The financial impact extends much beyond Clark's own achievements. With Clark's first game shattering attendance and ratings records everywhere and her Indiana Fever jersey selling out within hours of its release, the WNBA is seeing a 53% increase in viewership this season. She is also transforming the financial landscape of women's basketball by generating new revenue streams and business opportunities that will benefit all of the league's players. What we're seeing is the ideal union of athletic ability and business savvy. Clark is transforming the marketing and revenue-generating strategies for women's basketball and setting a standard for female athletes that didn't exist previously.
Just crazy, and just seeing those viral clips, like there's nobody on the planet that can do what Caitlin Clark can do, men or women. There is not one other player in women's basketball that you can look at and say nobody else on the planet can do what they do.
Additionally, did you witness how Caitlin Clark completely dominated her appearance on Letterman's Netflix show? She demonstrated to the audience her true self outside of the highlight reels, as evidenced by her sincere humility during the duckpin bowling match and her fierce competitiveness. What's next for women's basketball with trailblazers like Clark shattering barriers? Clark's basketball prowess, grace, and humor are redefining the landscape for female athletes as she navigates this whirlwind, landing endorsement deals worth millions of dollars while remaining remarkably grounded. Her story serves as a reminder that real champions change their sport without losing sight of who they are.